Alrighty, we're back at it again. It is a overcast Sunday afternoon and I'm going to continue taking apart the front end of this car. We're doing well. Right now I'm going to work on the steering rack. Got to get the steering box out, disconnect it from that little rubber flangey bit that's there, and get all these tie rod ends off, etc, etc. Hopefully they don't fight me too hard because they can be a pain in the butt to remove. But I'm going to try and take the whole piece out as one unit, and then I'll work on it when I need to work on it, but I'd rather have it all together now so I don't lose pieces of it. And then once that's out, I'll move over to the disc brakes and whatnot. I'll try and get them disassembled and the lower swing arms, and just continue pulling this thing apart really. So less talk, more do. So instead of trying to smash and bash and whack this to pieces with a hammer and damage everything, which is what normally happens when you try and take these apart while they're in the car, I'm going to take the swing arm off from up here, just unbolt it, pull the whole thing out, and then I'll take it to the bench and actually press out anything that I need to press out and get all this tidied up. So I'll undo it from here on the other side, and this whole thing will then drop out, and it'll be one more thing out of the way. All right, one complete steering rack out of the car. I'll put this up out of the way for now because I don't need to touch it for a little while. I'll probably only clean this up when it's time to put it back on the car, replace any bushings that need to be replaced when that happens, and any of the above. So this can be put aside until a later date. I will just put this nut back on here because I don't want to lose anything. Great, so that's now given me pretty much total access to the inner wheel guard here to work on, which is great. Once I pull that little brake line cable out of there, and I'll remove these bolts, keep them somewhere safe. Next is, what's this called? Cross member? Is that what that's called? Whatever it is, it's coming out. So let's get to that. She's out. A little bit greasy and oily, but dead straight, no dings, no damage. So that's going to clean up really well. Get a fresh coat of, I don't know, underbody spray or something. And again, it's going to get put aside until I'm ready to work on it. All right, so for the brake booster, it should be quite easy. There is a spring, which needs to be disconnected from this little bolt. And then just behind it, right where my finger's touching, there's a little black split pin. I need to pop that out, and then this bolt will slide straight out of here, and that'll be the brake disconnected. All right, so the 4 bolts back there have been undone, which is a little bit fiddly, but we got there. This should, yes, look at that, straight out. So that's great. Just go put it aside for a later day. Look at all my parts sitting here already. I think I need some new shelves. Yeah, I need more. I'd like all the parts to be safe and off the floor. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the engine bay. That's awesome. That is wonderful. So it is time to start sanding the engine bay and make it look nice and pretty. I've got a bunch of different grade sandpapers starting from 240 grit. I've got wire brushes over there somewhere, some degreaser just to help get some of the junk and gunk off here, a few more smaller wire brushes, and we're just really going to start hitting it. Sand down. I don't have to sand all the paint off. One good thing about this car is this paint is the original paint. Undercoat and paint. So as expected, there's going to be a lot of sanding involved to get this down. So I've got myself a couple of Scotch-Brite pads to help with that process and knock off all the surface contaminants and grossness. And then we will finish the sanding. I'll then hit it with some rust converter in the areas I just can't quite reach. The good thing is it's all very light surface rust, so it's going to be quite easy to take care of. Then we're going to hit it with a primer, an etch primer on the bare steel if there's any exposed, like here and here, and then normal primer over the top. And it'll probably go, I've got some white spray paint, which I'd like the engine bay itself to stay white, and then clear it. So let's continue on with the process and try and make this front end look pretty. So there's a tiny bit of exposed metal on top of this support beam here, the rail. I'm just going to hit that with some rust converter. It looks pretty clean, especially after cleaning it with Scotch-Brite and degreaser, which is actually working really well to remove all the stains and junk from the top layer, and also digging through that first layer of paint. So I'm pretty happy with the way this is coming out using that method. Alright, so step one is complete. Everything's been scuffed up on the inside of the engine bay, including the front here and the back side of the light wall and all that kind of stuff. So now I'm going to give it a quick wipe down, a thorough quick wipe down with some wax and grease remover to get rid of any of the contaminants that I've got left up there extra. I also have to get all these leaves out of this cowl area there. That's going to be annoying if the paint sprays out everywhere. So I'm going to degrease it. I'm going to do what I said I was just about to do, and then get on to the next part, which will be rust converting any little tiny bits of metal that are exposed, which is a quick step, but it's got to be done. Right now that has been rust converted in any spots that showed exposed metal or surface rust in some little corners where some bolts were rusting up a little bit. Give this a good 20-30 minutes to dry, and then we're going to start with the primer. In the meantime, I'm going to start masking it all up so that I don't make too much of a mess. We are ready to do some priming. We get the inside of the bay done with plain primer, and then I will use etch primer on the front just because there's a bit more exposed metal. Let's get to it. Alright, so undercoat is on. I probably didn't need to cover it as much as I did, but I kind of wanted the colour to be semi-uniform. So now we're going to give it a little bit of time just to dry off, and I'll give it another quick wipe down with a like a dry cloth and some maybe a tack rag even. And then it's time for some white. Oh yeah. The last step is going to be putting a clear coat over it. That's going to be about it for the engine bay until things are ready to go back onto the car. I hope that during the rest of this build and as I finish the rest of the car that I don't damage the the surface of this paint very much. But I'll just have to be careful. So let's put some clear coat on it. I'll give it another 10 minutes just to flash off, but it's come up really nice. I'm really happy with it. I'm so happy that there is minimal rust in this thing. The last thing I wanted to do was spend weeks of rust repair. It would have been horrible. So let's get some clear coat on it, then we can unmask it and call that a success. And there we go, clear coat is finished. And it's looking mighty nice. It's come out really nice. Like I said again, for the 5th time, I'm really happy with the condition of the steel, the metal on this car. Yeah, really happy with it. It's come out pretty good. Good for a, really good for a rattle can job actually. I think I will now remove the masking tape and just let it dry, and I think that's going to do it for this part of the build. I definitely wanted to put the clear coat on because it just gives that extra bit of protectant and also a beautiful shine, which, you know, who doesn't like a bit of shine? This has come out really good. Let's get this masking tape off and let it dry up nicely. Dunskies. I wonder what I got to work on next. Probably the wheel guards and the wheel arches actually. I want to try and start the front of the car and work my way back. That'll also mean that I won't have to pull the whole back of the car apart yet as well, so I can keep it all there. Well, I think that's going to do it. I'm tired and I'm hungry. And we'll see you in the next one.